7 Ways to Make Peace with Your Past. Alan Watts. The past is just a story we tell ourselves, and like any good story, it changes every time we tell it. Imagine for a moment that your life is a river. The waters that have passed, your past, are gone, flowing into an ocean of memories. But what if I told you there's a way to make peace with those turbulent waters? That there's a path to transform the currents of your past into a serene flow of wisdom and acceptance. Today, we're diving deep into the thoughts of Alan Watts, one of the most influential philosophers of the 20th century, to uncover 7 powerful ways to make peace with your past. And trust me, the last one has the potential to completely revolutionize your perspective on life. Alan Watts, with his smooth voice and penetrating words, invites us on a journey of self-discovery and liberation. He teaches us that the past isn't a prison, but a teacher. It's not a burden, but a source of growth. And today, we're going to unravel the secrets to transform our past experiences into springboards for a brighter, more fulfilling future. Think for a moment. How many times have you found yourself caught in the web of regret, turning over painful memories like stones in your pockets? Alan Watts challenges us to look at these stones in a completely new way. He shows us how to polish these rough experiences until they shine like gems of wisdom. Get ready for a transformative journey. Each step we'll take together in this video is a step towards liberation, deep understanding, and inner peace. And remember, the final revelation I'll share with you has the power to fundamentally change the way you see not just your past, but your entire existence. So, take a deep breath. Open your mind and your heart. We're about to embark on a fascinating exploration of Alan Watts's thinking, discovering how to make peace with our past, and in the process, rediscover who we really are. 1. Radical acceptance. The first key to making peace with your past, according to Alan Watts, is radical acceptance. But heads up, this doesn't mean passive resignation or approval of what happened. It's something much deeper and more transformative. Watts invites us to see that the past, with all its joys and pains, is an integral part of who we are today. He said, "You can't understand life by looking back. It only makes sense when you look at it from where you are now." Imagine your past as a great mosaic. Each piece, whether bright or dull, contributes to the beauty of the whole. Radical acceptance is looking at this mosaic and saying, yes, this is part of me, and that's okay. But how do we practice this acceptance in our daily lives? Watts suggests a simple but profound exercise. Close your eyes for a moment. Visualize a past experience that still causes you discomfort. Now, instead of trying to change or deny it, simply observe it. Feel the emotions that arise without judgment. Take a deep breath and say to yourself, "This happened. It's part of my story, and I accept it." This practice isn't easy, but it's incredibly liberating. As we accept our past, we stop fighting against what we can't change. This energy, previously spent on resistance, can now be directed towards growth and transformation. Remember Watts's words, "The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it and join the dance." Extend that love to your past, with all its imperfections. For it's through this acceptance that we find peace and freedom to create a brighter future. Radical acceptance isn't a destination, but an ongoing journey. Practice it daily, and you'll see how the turbulent currents of your past begin to calm, revealing a clearer and more serene reflection of who you are. 2. The present as a point of power. The second path to making peace with the past leads us, paradoxically, to the present. Alan Watts constantly emphasized the importance of living in the now, not as an escape from the past, but as a way to reframe it. The past and future are thoughts occurring in the present, Watts said. This profound insight invites us to a radical shift in perspective. Think about it. Every memory, every regret, every hope for the future, all of this exists only here and now, in the present moment. But how can we use this understanding to make peace with our past? The answer lies in recognizing the transformative power of the present moment. It's here now, that we have the ability to interpret and give meaning to our past experiences. Imagine your past as a book. Every time you read it in the present, you have the opportunity to understand it in a new way. The words on the paper don't change, but the reader, you, is constantly evolving. With each new reading, you bring new perspectives, new insights, new wisdom. Watts encourages us to practice full awareness of the present moment as a form of liberation. Try this right now. Close your eyes for a moment and focus all your attention on your breath. Feel the air going in and out. Notice the sounds around you. Feel the sensations in your body. In this state of presence, gently invite a memory from the past. Observe it not as something fixed and unchangeable, but as an experience that's happening now, in your consciousness. How does this memory feel different when viewed through the lens of the present moment? As you cultivate this presence, you begin to realize that the past has no power over you unless you give it that power in the present. As Watts said, you are under no obligation to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago. This practice of presence not only helps us make peace with the past, but also profoundly enriches our life experience. We begin to see each moment as an opportunity for growth, understanding, transformation. Remember, the present is your point of power. It's here that you can rewrite the narrative of your past, not by changing events, but by changing your relationship with them. It's in the now that you can choose to forgive, understand, and grow. 3. The illusion of the separate self. The third path to making peace with the past leads us to one of Alan Watts's most revolutionary ideas, the understanding that the self carrying the weight of the past is, in itself, an illusion. Watts often challenged our conventional notion of identity. He said, "You are the universe experiencing itself as a human being for a brief moment." This profound perspective has the power to radically transform our relationship with the past. Think for a moment, who is the you that carries the memories of the past? Is it the same you as yesterday, a year ago, a decade ago? Watts invites us to question this apparent continuity of self. He argued that our identity isn't a fixed and unchanging entity, but a process in constant flux. Like a river that seems the same but whose waters are always changing, our self is in constant transformation. But what does this have to do with making peace with the past? Everything. When we understand that we're not a separate and unchanging entity, but part of a continuous flow of experience, our relationship with the past fundamentally changes. The painful experiences of the past didn't happen to a fixed self that continues to exist, but were part of an ongoing process of transformation. The you who experienced that pain isn't the same you who's here now reading these words. Watts invites us to a practice of disidentification. Try this. The next time a painful memory arises, instead of thinking, "This happened to me," try observing, "This was an experience that happened." Feel the subtle but profound difference in this shift of perspective. This understanding doesn't deny the reality of past experiences or their impact. Instead, it frees us from excessive identification with them. As Watts said, the ego is a social fiction for which we are not responsible. By freeing ourselves from this fiction, we open up space for a broader and more compassionate understanding of ourselves and our experiences. The past ceases to be a personal burden and becomes part of the universal flow of existence. This perspective allows us to look at the past with new clarity. No longer trapped in the idea of a separate and unchanging self, we can see our past experiences as waves in the ocean of consciousness, arising, manifesting, and dissolving. Remember, you're not just the boat sailing on the river of life. You are the river itself in constant movement and transformation. This deep understanding has the power to free us from the shackles of the past, opening us to the vastness and freedom of the present moment. 4. The dance of yin and yang. The fourth path to making peace with the past takes us to one of the most fundamental concepts in Eastern philosophy, often explored by Alan Watts, the duality of yin and yang. Watts teaches us that life is a constant dance between opposites. Light and darkness, joy and sorrow, success and failure, all are interdependent aspects of the same reality. He said, "To have light, you must have dark. To appreciate music, You need the silence between the notes. But how does this understanding help us make peace with the past? The answer lies in recognizing that our past experiences, whether perceived as positive or negative, are an integral part of this cosmic dance. Imagine your past as a great tapestry, woven with light and dark threads. The moments of joy and achievement are the bright threads, while the painful and challenging experiences are the darker threads. Together, they create a rich and complex pattern that is the tapestry of your life. Watts invites us to see that without the difficult moments, we couldn't fully appreciate the moments of joy. Without failures, we wouldn't know the taste of success. Each experience, no matter how painful it may have been, contributed to shaping who you are today. Practice looking at your past through this lens. Take an experience you consider negative and ask yourself, what learnings did this experience bring me? How did it make me stronger, wiser, more compassionate? Watts argued that our tendency to label experiences as good or bad is a simplification that deprives us of the richness of life. He said, the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it and join the dance. This perspective frees us from the need to judge our past. Instead, we can embrace it in its entirety, recognizing that each experience, each challenge, each joy is part of the natural flow of life. Remember, just like the yin and yang symbol, where each side contains a seed of the other, even in the most challenging experiences of your past, there are seeds of growth and transformation. By adopting this view, you begin to realize that there's no need to make peace with the past, because the past, in all its complexity, is already an integral part of who you are. It's not something to be overcome, but something to be integrated and honored. As Watts reminds us, the meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple, and yet everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves. 5. The myth of control. The fifth path to making peace with the past leads us to one of the most persistent illusions of human experience, the idea of control. Alan Watts frequently challenged our notion that we can, or should, control all aspects of our lives. The desire for security and the feeling of insecurity are the same thing, Watts said. This profound observation invites us to re-examine our relationship not just with the present and future, but also with the past. How many times have we caught ourselves thinking, if only I had done things differently, or if I had known then what I know now? These thoughts are manifestations of our illusory belief in total control over our lives and decisions. Watts reminds us that we're part of a vast interconnected universe where countless factors influence every moment of our lives. Our past decisions were made in the context of the information, emotions, and circumstances of that specific moment. Imagine your life as a great river. You can choose to swim in one direction or another, but you can't control the current, the rocks in the riverbed, or the weather that affects the flow of water. Similarly, our lives are influenced by countless factors beyond our control. Accepting this reality isn't a surrender to powerlessness, but a liberation. Watts invites us to see that life isn't a problem to be solved, but an experience to be lived. He said, "The meaning of life is just to be alive." It is so plain and so obvious and so simple. When we apply this understanding to our past, we begin to free ourselves from the weight of excessive regret and self-criticism. We realize that our past actions were the result of a complex interweaving of factors, many of which were beyond our control or understanding at the time. Practice looking at your past with this new perspective. When a painful memory or regret arises, take a deep breath and say to yourself, "At that moment, with what I knew and the circumstances that existed, I did the best I could." This practice isn't an excuse to avoid responsibility, but an invitation to self-compassion. It's recognizing that, like all human beings, you're in a continuous process of learning and growth. Watts reminds us, the future is a fantasy mental, and the past is a memory. The only moment that really exists is now. By accepting the illusion of control, we paradoxically gain a different kind of control over our response to the present. Remember, you can't change the past, but you can change your relationship with it. By letting go of the illusion of control, you open yourself to the richness and spontaneity of life as it is, not as you think it should be. This deep acceptance frees us to live more fully in the present, learning from the past without being trapped by it. As Watts said, the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. 6. The interconnection of all things. The sixth path to making peace with the past leads us to one of Alan Watts' most profound and transformative ideas, the fundamental interconnection of all things. This understanding has the power to completely revolutionize our relationship, not just with the past, but with all of existence. Watts often spoke about how our perception of separation is an illusion. He said, "You are not a separate being from the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself." This perspective invites us to see our past not as a series of isolated events that happen to a separate self, but as part of a vast fabric of interconnections. Imagine for a moment that your life is like a thread in an intricate web. Each experience, each decision, each moment of your past not only affected you but reverberated through this web, influencing countless other threads. Similarly, your life has been and continues to be shaped by the vibrations of innumerable other threads in this cosmic web. This perspective frees us from the narrow, egocentric view we often have of our past. Instead of seeing our past experiences as something that happened only to me, we begin to perceive how they are part of a much larger flow of cause and effect, of giving and receiving. Watts invites us to expand our consciousness to include this interconnection. He argued that our sense of isolation and separation is the root of much of our suffering. By recognizing our fundamental connection with everything that exists, we find a deep sense of belonging and purpose. Practice looking at your past through this lens of interconnection. Take a significant experience from your past and reflect. How did this experience not only affect you, but also the people around you? How might it have influenced events and people you don't even know? And conversely, how did countless other people and events contribute to shaping this experience? This practice leads us to a deeper and more compassionate understanding of our past experiences. We begin to see that our actions and experiences don't occur in a vacuum, but are part of a much larger cosmic dance. Watts reminds us, you are a function of this total universe, not something put here, not something that came into it, but something that comes out of it. This understanding frees us from the weight of seeing our past as something personal and isolated. Instead, we begin to see our experiences as part of the natural and beautiful unfolding of the universe. By embracing this interconnection, we find a deep peace with our past. We realize that each moment, each experience, each challenge and joy were not just ours, but part of something much larger. This frees us from excessive judgment and opens us to a deeper acceptance and gratitude for the richness of our experiences. Remember, your past is not just yours. It's a unique expression of the universe unfolding through you. By honoring this interconnection, you not only make peace with your past, but open yourself to a deeper and richer understanding of your own existence. As Watts beautifully put it, you are the universe expressing itself as a human for a little while. Embrace this truth, and you'll find a deep peace not just with your past, but with your entire existence. 7. The eternal now. We've arrived at the seventh and deepest path to making peace with the past, a revelation that has the power to completely transform your perception not just of the past, but of your entire existence. Alan Watts called this the eternal now. This is the understanding that in the deepest reality only the present exists. The past and future are mental constructs that exist only in our minds, here and now. Watts said, "There is never anything but the present. There's no past and there's no future. Time is a persistent illusion." Think about this for a moment. Every memory you have of the past is happening now in your present consciousness. Every worry about the future is occurring now. Everything you've ever experienced, are experiencing, or will experience exists in this eternal present moment. This understanding has profound implications for our relationship with the past. If the past exists only as a mental construct in the present, then our struggle with it is also happening only in the now. And it's in the now that we have the power to transform that relationship. Watts invites us to a radical practice of presence. Try this right now. Close your eyes and focus all your attention on the present moment. Feel your breath. Hear the sounds around you. Notice the sensations in your body. In this state of total presence, where is the past? Where are the worries about the future? In this state of pure awareness, you can realize that the past has no intrinsic reality beyond the thoughts and emotions you're experiencing now. And these thoughts and emotions are like clouds passing through the sky of your consciousness. They come and go, while consciousness remains unchanged. Watts argued that our fixation on the past and future robs us of the only reality we have, the present. He said, "I have realized that the past and future are real illusions, that they exist in the present, which is what there is and all there is." Practicing this awareness of the eternal now doesn't mean denying or ignoring our past experiences. On the contrary, it means embracing them completely in the only moment they really exist now. It's in this total embrace of the present that we find true liberation. When a painful memory arises, instead of fighting against it or trying to change it, simply observe it as it's happening now. Feel the emotions that arise, observe the thoughts that accompany them, but remain anchored in the awareness of the present. This practice frees us from the tyranny of psychological time. We begin to realize that we don't need to make peace with the past, because the past, as an entity separate from the present, simply doesn't exist. All that exists is our present experience. Remember, you are not the content of your consciousness, the thoughts, emotions, and memories that arise and pass. You are consciousness itself, the eternal and unchanging space in which all experience occurs. This profound understanding has the power to completely free us. As Watts said, "When you realize that you are the silence that listens, the space in which sounds happen, you are free." By embracing the eternal now, you not only make peace with your past, you completely transcend the notion of a past separate from the present. You open yourself to the fullness and infinite richness of this moment, the only moment that really exists. And so, we come to the end of our journey through Alan Watts's 7 paths to making peace with the past. But remember, this isn't really an end, but a new beginning. Each moment is an opportunity to awaken to the truth of the eternal now, to live with full awareness and acceptance. As Watts reminds us, the meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple. So, live fully. Embrace each moment with total openness and acceptance. For it's here, in the eternal now, that we find true peace, not just with our past, but with all of existence. You've made it this far, and that's a testament to your commitment to growth and transformation. Now, I'd like to invite you to share in the comments. Today, I commit to living fully in the present, embracing each moment as an opportunity for growth and transformation. Remember, each moment is a new opportunity to awaken, to grow, to transform. Alan Watts' words are a constant invitation for us to explore the depths of our consciousness and the vastness of our existence. If this video touched something in you, if it awakened a new perspective or brought valuable insights, I invite you to explore it more deeply. Watch it again, reflect on each path, practice the shared techniques. True transformation comes with constant practice and deep reflection. And don't stop here. There's a vast universe of wisdom waiting to be explored. Dive into Alan Watts' writings. Explore other philosophical and spiritual traditions. Each new perspective is an opportunity to expand your consciousness and deepen your understanding of life. Always remember, you're not just a passive observer of life. You are life itself expressing in a unique and beautiful form. Honor that truth by living each moment with full awareness and acceptance. Thank you for sharing this time with me, exploring these profound truths.